welcome back to another video. Today, I want to do the mid-year freakout tag. You've heard me right. It's the tag of the tags. The one that I've been looking forward to for a year now. Since the last time I did it, basically. I think it's always so fun to check in with your reading and to kind of have a moment and reflect on what has been and what is about to come in your reading life. So let's start up with some numbers, shall we? So my reading goal, overall reading goal for the year, are 69 books, which is the most ambitious goal that I've ever set for myself when it comes to reading. And I have read 28 books so far, which is a decent number in my opinion, especially considering that summer is right around the corner and that I haven't read anything for 2 out of the 6 months that have passed so far. Okay, enough numbers for now. Let's get into the tag with question number 1. The best book that you've read so far in 2021. Now the book that quickly comes to my mind is Concrete Rose by Angie. Straight up there where I expected it to be. The story itself made me feel a range of emotions, and I always appreciate that with books because it doesn't usually happen. And I would highly recommend it to everyone who has loved Angie previous works and hasn't read this one yet. So what are you waiting for? This is exceptionally good. However though, I sort of have a little fear of recency bias because this one was actually the last book that I've read up until the point that I filmed this video. So I wanted to mention a second book that I've already mentioned on this channel quite a lot, and that is Jiyoung, Born 1982 by Cho Nam-Jo. I will not talk about this anymore. I've said enough. This is a good one. Question number 2. Best sequel you've read so far in 2021. I think we talked about the fact that I'm not really a great sequel reader, but there's one genre that I didn't really think of when I said that sentence. The genre that I'm talking about is manga, and the sequel that I want to hold up high is Tokyo Ghoul third part. This year I think I've read like part 1, 2, 3 and 4 of this manga and I haven't bought any other books since then, because you have to know I am on a book buying ban for the year. So these books I've basically had prior to the year. I am allowed to buy a book once I've read 3 books, but that is kind of a hard credit to build up. So I'd rather not spend it on a manga that takes me about an afternoon to read. But I remember I read that in January, it blew me away. It's a fantastic book. Amazing fight scenes, amazing character development, amazing story overall. Love it. Can't wait to get back into the story. Probably next year though. Question number 3. New release you haven't read yet, but want to. I have just gone out, you know, and I bought myself a pretty little book that I've been looking forward to reading for the longest time, since I knew that it existed, basically. And that is Klara And The Sun by Kazuo ishiguro. I don't know what to expect of it, by the way, because this honestly doesn't sound like my topic at all. Like anything AI, anything sci-fi, anything like kind of futuristic world building, that's not where my interests lay. But we will see. I nonetheless, for some reason, have high hopes. Number 4. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I have no clue what is about to be released, and I would like to say that this is because of the focus that I've given this year in trying to clear out my TBR shelves at home, but honestly it's just like my general focus. I don't really care that much. Those books are gonna be around for a time and they're not gonna run away from me if I read them now or if I'll read them like in a couple of years. Question number 5. Your biggest disappointment. Oh my god! Okay, I've talked about this, but I have to choose it. And for everyone who loves that person, who follows this person, and who is German, because I don't think that anybody else would know who I'm talking about, I wish I could say that I was sorry, but I genuinely believe that this book isn't good. And that is freely translated The Smallest Common Reality by Mighty Ingwen Kim, or Die kleinste gemeinsame Wirklichkeit. Like, nothing wrong with her content and trying to make science easy understandable for the masses. This is a great thing, but I just wish that by reducing what she was saying, she wouldn't like also distort the meaning. In my opinion, she did, but I know that I am a minority with my opinion. And if you want to smash my head in and you want to call me dumb because I'm kind of critiquing a scientific work here, don't worry, it's already been done before, okay? Even by my friends. If you want to declare that I am crazy, you're definitely not the only person out there, but I'm gonna stand with my opinion on the book. I don't think that it's a good representation of science, and I would highly encourage everyone who's interested in the topic to, if you want to read this, at least also get information from another source on the same topics. Let's go to a happier place with question number 6. What was the biggest surprise this year? Well, if you haven't thought that I have totally lost my mind up until now, then maybe this book will bring you to that conclusion, because it is Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. I am not ashamed, but I'm very aware of how that makes me sound. So let me explain a bit. Midnight Sun is the perfect answer to this question because the way that I liked it surprised me as well. I went into this expecting that I was gonna destroy my teenage years by reading this. I was mentally prepared to tear my 13-14-year-old self into shreds and be like, oh my god, what were you thinking back in the day? And mind you, I was very caught off guard when I started reading it and it turned out I actually liked it. It ignited a fire of not a spark, a fire of passion in my heart that I haven't felt for the past, I don't know how many years. It's been years. It's been years that I've been so like passionate about a story, and you can judge that however you want to, and I'm with you on that. I will judge myself happily for it, but I'm also gonna admit that I enjoyed every second of that trip. I had the time of my life, okay? Question number 7. Favorite new author. I haven't read that many new authors this year, and from the ones that I have read, I've not really liked a lot. But I think I'm gonna go with Rutger Bregman because I can definitely see myself reading more of his non-fiction works, mainly talking about worldly/societal issues that we now have through the lens of history. So let's go! Question number 8. Your newest fictional crush. Oh my god. So Midnight Sun was the first book this year to ignite the fire of passion, but it didn't stay the only one. And I am cheating here, but it's just too true to not mention it at this point, because I've never in my life fallen so hard for a character. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a particular figure next to me on my bookshelf, and he's called Kakashi Hatake, and he's from the manga and anime Naruto. To say that I'm crushing is an understatement. I've fallen so hard that I think I left a hole in the ground when it happened. He is just divine. And I know not many people care, but I want to, so that's why I'm gonna tell you about our love story. So it happened in February. I was about to clean my flat and I needed something to just be playing in the background so that I would have some noises going around, because you know, nobody wants to be alone with their thoughts. So I scrolled through Netflix, which is a platform I don't use that often, but nonetheless, sometimes I do. And there was this sweet little moment of recognition when I saw Naruto Shippuden popping up in the anime recommendations. I remember watching a couple of episodes here and there, never really grasping what it was actually about. So I figured, since this is also a manga with a hell of a lot of episodes, that this is going to be the perfect series for me. Well, nothing really happened in that beginning time. I was just, you know, partly here and there watching the series through the corner of my eye, and then fast forward to season 8. By the way, if you're interested in watching the series, I would highly recommend you to mute me right now, because I'm gonna spoil you. So season 8 is the season in which Pain attacks Konohagakure, and there's a fight going on between Kakashi and Pain. For people who already know the series, this will not come as a surprise. For everybody who did not click away or has no intention in watching it, during that fight between Kakashi and Pain, Kakashi dies. But what kind of took me off guard when this fight happened and after it was clear that Kakashi had lost was that I was crying my eyes out. I was devastated, tears streaming down my face, full-blown mascara lightning, and I didn't expect it at all. It was very late in the evening, by the way. This fight happened in the beginning of season 8, and I had to make sure that everything was going to be fine. I couldn't stop watching and crying and watching until I knew that there's going to happen some anime shit that will just revive my beloved character. And needless to say, yes, it happened. Kakashi got revived at the ending of the 8th season. And from that point on, I had to simply accept the fact that he was a special character to me and that I was gonna pay extra attention whenever he was on screen, just so that I wouldn't miss a second that he was on there in case he was gonna die on me again. And if you've ever wondered what the physical manifestation of obsession looks like, it's here, right in front of you. I am obsessed. Nice to meet you. Because beginning in February this year, up until this point, I've binged the series so hard. I am now at the end of Naruto Shippuden again for the second time around this year. Let's move on. Who is your newest favorite character? I think that a strong contestant for this spot is Jesper from The Six of Crows, because he's just funny and skilled and likable, and I really liked him in the series. Not much to say to that, right? Number 10. Books that made you cry. And this question has the same answer as question number 1, which is Concrete Rose and Kim Jiyoung born in 1982. For both of these, I had tears in my eyes. I think for Concrete Rose, I even had to kind of stop reading for a day after a really tragic event happened. Like, I needed to give this moment a respectable pause. Question number 11. A book that made you happy. So for this one, I'm gonna go with The Kangaroo Chronicles by Mako Kling, which I read as a pick-me-up after The People in the Trees, and it worked wonderfully. It is unfortunately by a German author, and if you're not really into political and system satire, then this is probably not for you. But I wanted to mention it because it made me very happy, at least the first part did. Question number 12. The most beautiful book that you've bought or received so far this year. Aesthetic in books is something that I really rarely think about. I mean, there are exceptions to this, no question, but I think I really have a book to talk about here, so I'm just gonna pass on. Question number 13, and the last question. What book do you need to read by the end of the year? Okay, so let's say that I would like to finish the book that I am currently reading by the end of the year, and that is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. And I mean, it's most likely gonna happen that I will be doing that because, you know, I'm in the middle of reading it. But it has happened that I've started books and then abandoned them for a year or two, or even more, after I've put them down. And this one I have to admit, and I know that I'm gonna break a lot of hearts by saying this, but this is actually a really strong contender for a book that I'm gonna put down at one point and never pick up again. I have to admit that I'm not really enjoying it up until this point, and although I know that a good amount of my feeling stems from the fact that this is just simply not my genre, because I would borderline classify it as sci-fi, and that is unfortunately absolutely nothing that I can vibe with. But I would also very silently claim that it has very bad writing. Listen, there's so many people who have enjoyed this book, and you have every right to enjoy it. I kind of wanted to say it for this single other person out there who feels the same way as I do, and who maybe doesn't feel that alone now anymore. I don't know, I don't want to ruin your enjoyment of the book, but please also accept my opinion of it. It is, after all, just a subjective opinion. I'll put that down, and probably if you haven't already clicked off the video as soon as I mentioned that the last book that I held up wasn't really one for me, you're about to do it right now because we're at the end of the video. Let's just say that I will see you at another time in another video.